Fox Sports welcomes you to Michigan International Speedway. On Father's Day, NASCAR, a sport built on the foundation of a father teaching his child to drive. In a few moments, you'll see drivers like Dale Earnhardt Jr., whose car has a special paint scheme. Call it a family flashback, honoring his grandfather and his father. America's top drivers on display today, just down the road from the birthplace of the automobile. There is a chance of rain in the forecast. The start of the race moved up just a bit. Thunder showers in the area, but ready for racing. The place where America gathers every weekend. We welcome you to the Hollywood Hotel. Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers. Happy Father's Day to all the dads. In memory of Leroy, your dad, Jacques, your dad, my father still watching, Eugene, Bill Richards' dad, our pre-race show producer. My dad always said, get a legitimate job, and I'm still fooling him. But we wish you happy Father's Day. All right, so we're ready to race today. A lot of dads will be watching closely. Here we got guys on the outside, Biffle, Edwards, Jeff Gordon, outside that top 10. Talk about a pressure point race today.
Well, it is. It's a critical race. It's a critical race for Jeff Gordon because, listen, even though he's on the outside pole, you'd say, oh, Jeff's on the row. He's not on the row. He's qualified there 4 or 3 other times. He's got to turn that front row start position into a great finish today if he wants to get back in the chase. And old Biffle, all he's got to do is be Biffle. Go out there, drive that wheels off that thing. He's got 80 bonus points. That's more than anybody else has got. How'd he get them? Leading laps and winning races.
Well, the good thing about this race is I think it's an easy race, Darrell. When I think about the racetrack itself, it's wide. It's very easy to get around as far as getting the thing, changing different lanes. It's easy on the engines. I mean, it's relatively an easy race.
Well, I would disagree with you a little bit, Jeff. It's an easy track, but it's an aggravating track to race on. On the restarts particularly, starts and restarts, you're all bundled up in a big wad, and people worry you to death. They'll draft on you, they'll bump on you, and it's an aggravating place to race. You can lose your cool easy here.
One of the fastest tracks in NASCAR. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin has gone from an injured hand to a hot hand, and after his first ever Cup win at Pocono, he had a chance now to be the first rookie to win back-to-back races since Tony Stewart did it in 1999. Now, his parents, Hamlin's parents, maxed out their credit cards to support Denny's racing career, and it's paying off big time.
Starting on the pole, Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin is the fastest car on the racetrack.
Look at him, flapping in the wind, baby.
The leader's in trouble.
Hamlin, the rookie, spins out while leading, falls to 40th, then wins the Pocono 500.
And Denny Hamlin in his FedEx car joining us from down on the track. And congrats and thanks for being with us. You know, you played that video game to simulate Pocono. Talk about what we could expect today and how comfortable you feel here at Michigan, Denny.
Yeah, this is definitely the first time here at Michigan. But, you know, first things first, got to say Happy Father's Day to my dad.
All right.
You know, we all know that they gave up a lot for me. But, you know, last week was a great week for us. It took Monday or Tuesday for me to realize that I won that race. And, you know, of course, you can go from hero to zero in racing in a hurry, and we found that this week. It's just we have not got a hold on this racetrack yet. We've been struggling all through practice, even qualifying. So I think we're the highest Gibbs car in practice at like 30th. So we definitely, as a team, got a little bit of work to do. But you know, I'm sure Mike Ford and those guys can get it figured out by the day's end.
Okay, Hamlin, hold up that hand. That bad hand. Hold it up there.
We're good now.
Now, tell the folks at home, I know that's where they put that computer chip. I know that's a bionic hand. I mean, what else could it be?
You know, I have no idea. It's you know, it seems like ever since that happened, we've just been on a roll, and it's really hard to explain. I mean, I don't know whether it's just focus or what it is, but or coincidence. But these last month and a half, 5-6 races, my team's done just an excellent job getting us top 10 after top 10, and you know, we got on a roll and got inside the top 10 in points. Now we just got to work on staying there, and the only way to do that is stay out of trouble, don't get any DNFs, and have great races like we have the last 5 weeks.
Well, Danny, you and your crew chief, Mike Ford, you've had a great season, but isn't it the fact that you had to go to bat for him? Otherwise, you wouldn't even had him for a crew chief this year.
Yeah, you know, there were talks of him leaving and that, but you know, I told JD and expressed to him time after time again. I mean, I brought JD into my motorhome 2 or 3 times and said, I'm telling you, this is my guy. I feel it with Mike. It's not too often this happens. And I had one other relationship like that, and that was my crew chief, Rodney Estes, in the late model series that you just gel with. And you got good chemistry. You just can't buy it. You can't anything. You just got to have it. And I have it with Mike, and he's starting to understand every week more and more of what I'm saying. And we just keep getting better.
All right, well, good luck today, Danny. Thanks again for your time, all right?
Yeah, good luck, buddy.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Tell Big Daddy happy Father's Day, too.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. last year called him the most underrated driver. Pretty good judge of talent. Here's what's around the turn as we continue on our pre-race show from Michigan. Adam Sandler will get the race going. He's the Grand Marshal for today. Also has a movie out. DW kind of took the idea and will tell us what's clicked and dipped so far in the NASCAR season. Also, we'll have gas and go. You've got questions. Our guys have answers. And you want to know a burnout? DW and Jeff show you.
Come on, baby, light my tires. Try to set the tires on fire. Yeah, baby. Scattered, smothered, and covered. I'm a professional cook. Hey, I know you. You're the maitre d'.
Can I help y'all with something? Can I help serve? Can I help with these potatoes?
All right, enjoy here. Oh, okay. All right, that's good. Thanks again, Mike.
How would you like your chicken? We're serving it rare, medium rare today.
This would be Chris Myers eggs. Extra cheesy.
Why don't you go way down there
I
somewhere?
think your project is way down here. It has your name written all
Here.
over it.
I don't see a grill down there.
Where's Hammond? Look, I brought something really good.
Yeah, DW, boogity, boogity, boogity this.
And we welcome you back. Michigan International Speedway getting ready to go racing. Let's join Mike Joyce on the broadcast booth. Mike, I don't think we're going to be invited on the Iron Chef anytime soon.
Cleanup detail, Chris. Hard to say. Kasey Kahne strapping in. He will start this race from the pole. This area of Michigan is called the Irish Hills. Rolling hills, lots of farmland, lots of small lakes. It's kind of a playground for folks in Metro Detroit. So nearly 40 years ago, they designed and built this, the first of the modern super speedways. Garage is big enough to hold tractor trailers, suites on the inside as well as the outside of the front straightaway. And it became a great success. In addition to IndyCar racing and other forms of motorsport, they've had 74 Nextel Cup races counting today, and there are 11 former winners in the field. We'll see rabbits, and we may see some tortoises, but the fellow who is best on the long run, Larry, may well prevail today.
No question. We may see Kasey Kahne, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon jump out there and run those fast laps, but the man starting in 20th, Matt Kenseth, I watched him yesterday. He didn't run that fast lap, but he was good on the long runs, and we do have long green runs here.
That's right. 3 times this race has gone caution-free. Amidst a few sprinkles and raindrops and some heavy rain to the south near Indianapolis, we're set to get this underway, and hopefully the vortex theory will go to work here momentarily. Drivers and crews at the ready. Get things going here in just a minute. What about Kasey Kahne in that car that was crashed pretty hard yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, he has not been back on the racetrack since they put a whole right side on that car. They had to check all the suspension. Pretty hard lick off turn 2, but they elected to repair the car rather than go to a backup.
And alongside him, Jeff Gordon, trying to get his season restarted. There's Gordon's teammate, Jimmy Johnson, the Nextel point standing leader, hoping to stay on top. And there's Gordon, whose car seemed to take a long time to go through inspection this morning. It was the last car to be brought to its position on the starting grid.
It's a brand new race car. In fact, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon both have brand new race cars, but I couldn't agree more than what Darrell said in the pre-race show. This has to be a day where the 24 car cashes in on that front row start if they indeed want to make the chase for the Nextel Cup.
And in the race to the chase, which ends at Richmond, Michigan is the one and only track that beginning today has 2 races to go before we find out who gets to race for the Nextel Cup. Chris?
All right, thanks, guys. They're not holding the command because Adam Sedler's the Grand Marshal. He didn't click it and pause it. There's some rain in the area, so we talked about thunderstorms, the possibility. They're hoping the rain moves through. We talked about officially Jeff Hammond, it becomes a race at the halfway point. Crew chief, does that affect your strategy?
Definitely so, Chris. And when you're sitting out there, a lot of these drivers, crew chiefs, engineers, they're already starting to think about what's the car going to be like after yesterday's final practice. Are they going to make air pressure adjustments to start this first part of the race? What kind of track conditions will they find there? And also, as you said, halfway may be what these guys are now looking at. 201 miles instead of 400 miles. Again, when you get up on the wheel, starting up front could be key today. Larry talked about Matt Kenseth coming from the back. How about Ryan Newman? He's starting way back further than that after having his trouble during qualifying. So you got to think all these things and kind of put them in the hopper and give them a spin and see who comes up with the best strategy early on.
A lot of drivers anxious to get going. A number of storylines, including the weather. We'll update that. Check in with our pit reporters down on the track in just a moment. Glad you're watching with us from Michigan. Michigan International Speedway becoming the third largest city in the state. More than 130,000 fans here weathering the slight rain. We're ready to roll. Let's join Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
We're halfway through the first of 3 pace laps. Darrell, in practice yesterday, we saw bottom feeders, we saw rim riders, and we saw drivers trying to master the middle. How long before we get a sense of what's going to be the winning groove today?
Well, one thing I like about today is the weather. Now, I know we don't like it when it rains, but this is an equalizer. It doesn't hurt anybody. It helps everybody. So this is my favorite kind of conditions to race in. Cloudy, overcast, a lot of grip. Go where you want to. Pick a lane. Go.
It may be an equalizer, but this morning in the garage area, crew chief were scrambling because they know the handling characteristics of these cars are going to be much different than it was in that 90-degree weather yesterday. So a lot of scrambling this morning. This is our racetrack keys right here. 200 laps, 400 miles, pit road speed 45 miles per hour. The pit window for fuel, always be critical, 45 to 50 laps. You heard Dick Berggren talk about it, fuel mileage strategy. Remember, that's what won the race for Jeremy Mayfield, the 19 car, here in August. Chasing the weather, 2 different ways. We're chasing to make sure we can get this 400-miler in, but you're chasing also the handling of your race car because of the weather. You know what, DW? I can make changes every pit stop. You may have to help me out a little bit, like Mike pointed out, moving that car around to find where it likes to run.
Yeah, this is a big, wide racetrack, and you can do it.
A lap and a half before we go green at this somewhat unique D-shaped 2-mile super speedway to end of the track in College Station, Texas, and much like the one built in California east of Los Angeles in Fontana. With a lap and a half before we race, we talked to some of the top Nextel Cup drivers and got their impressions of what you're about to see.
Michigan is definitely a challenge.
By probably the first lap coming by, you're going to see 3 and 4 wide down the front stretch.
It's a racy racetrack because you can run the top, you can run the middle, and you can run the bottom, and it gives you a lot of options.
If your car's not handling good, you can move around and hunt around to find a line that'll help your car handle or get through the corners a little bit better.
Before the day's out, you're going to see drivers in cars on the very bottom of the track, but you're also going to have a guy that's almost scraping the rear bumper on the wall on the outside, which is 5 lanes up from there.
That's the best part of the race, is really right after restarts, man. You know, you get cars that are in the back, they got to get to the front, you get 3 wide. It's a lot of action.
There's tons of things that go on at Michigan that make it so fun to race and to watch.
Originally, this event was the 600-mile race, the Yankee 600. Cale Yarborough, the first winner here over Leroy Yarborough. That was back in 1969, the first time NASCAR came to the Irish Hills.
Follow up a little bit on what Larry was talking about, fuel strategy. What you're going to see a lot of times mid-pack back, you're going to come down pit road. If you don't do anything but just hook that gas can up and top that tank off, because that'll be critical later in the race.
Never pass a chance up to take fuel on.
I don't care if it's but a gallon. Come in, get that gallon, because it may make the difference.
There you can see the difference right there, not only in the ambient temperature, but as well as the track. Huge difference from Friday qualifying, especially the practice yesterday.
But Larry, I mean, I'm serious when I tell you, it only makes it better for everybody. You don't have to make that many adjustments because you just pick up more grip. That's all you do.
One car will go to the rear. Ryan Newman replaced a transmission. He had spun in qualifying and was going to start 42nd anyway.
That was wise on their part then.
Happy Father's Day to everybody out there.
How about that sign, guys? Isn't that sweet? Race fans are special, aren't they?
Yes, they are. We're a mile away from the green. All of our NASCAR on Fox onboard cameras, including the pole sitter, Kasey Kahne, top center.
Should have your favorite driver in there somewhere.
It's a big unknown for our pole sitter, Kasey Kahne. You heard Matt Yoakum talk about it. A lot of repairs to that car since he hit the wall in practice yesterday. Well, DW, she's going to have more grip. You know what more grip means? More speed. And you know what? Every once in a while, you might be 5 wide down this front straightaway. So you better reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Happy Father's Day, guys, and let's go racing.
The third starter, Brian Vickers' car, took a while to get up to speed. The drivers in the outside lanes had a little advantage through turn 1 and 2. And Vickers drops in behind Jimmy Johnson and Dale Jr. in 5th. Kahne had no trouble establishing his lead right from the drop of the green.
No, and he come off turn 2, where the last time he came off there, it wasn't very pretty. Right now, things are looking pretty good for him, though. Other than that orange flame kind of glowing in his mirror.
Riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. here in the Budweiser car. The 8 car told his crew in yesterday's practice, don't touch it. I'm happy with it. He's backing it up so far.
Got a challenge for the lead right here, guys. Jeff Gordon looking underneath.
And Gordon gave him turn 1 on the opening lap. And this may be a give back, maybe not. Let's see if Gordon holds the lead.
No, Gordon's that much quicker, Mike, and I like his race car. It's the first time in weeks I've seen his car down against the track, sealed off, aerodynamically the best I've seen that car all year.
Trouble turn 2. One car spins down to the bottom. It is Robbie Gordon.
I just say, I am amazed every time one of these guys. He didn't hit anything. Every time these guys spin these cars out, now they don't back them up in the fence. They save them.
Well, what I like about the backstretch at Michigan is all that runoff area that's pavement. There's no grass even over on the backstretch.
Really, really slow, buddy.
Helps in 2 ways. The car doesn't get upset bouncing through the grass and get air under it. And also, when you can slide on that asphalt, you scrub off speed.
Yeah, and the reason they're telling him really, really slow is they don't want that tire to come apart and tear a fender up or something. So limp her back.
Look just straight ahead from Jeremy Mayfield at that bright green, greenish yellow car.
Just stepped out, got down in the corner, round she came.
From Michael Waltrip. First caution of the day out very early in Michigan for Robbie Gordon's spin.
NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Racing on Fox, presented by AOL, is sponsored by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. By AOL, want a better high-speed internet? You belong at AOL. By Wendy's 4 new Friscata sandwiches. Do Wendy's. Do what tastes right. And by Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR. This is Budweiser. This is beer.
Happy Father's Day on Kenny Schrader's number 21. And a lot of those signs throughout the grandstand here at Michigan. Cleaning up the first caution of the day, Robbie Gordon's made numerous pit stops to fix his car. And let's answer our first singular virtual crew chief question. 84% of you say yes, at least one rookie will make the chase.
We actually have one in the top 10 right now, Denny Hamlin in 9th.
Well, I think we said all along, Larry, that rookie would win a race and a rookie would be in the chase. Of course, we didn't know it would be the same one, but
might be. Here are the positions in the NEXTEL Cup standings of the 6 Rookie of the Year candidates. And David Stremme got a good boost here on Friday when he lapped the field to win the Hans 200 ARCA race.
And then honestly, when you look at those points there, we only have 2 that's a possibility, I think, of making the chase, Denny Hamlin and Clint Boyer. who's got to be spot on these remaining 12 races until we get to the final 10. See Greg Biffle there in the 16 car. As far as a fast lap in practice yesterday, pretty much in his own zip code. He's moved up 4 positions since the start of the race, from 10th to 6th. Winner of 2 of the last 3 races here.
Getting set for the restart to begin lap 7. Jeff Gordon, who has led 18 different Michigan races, brings him down to the green.
I think the question for Jeff, we see him every week now. We've seen him do this time and time again. Out front, he can drive away. They got to keep him there, though, or else that's going to be the test to see if he can come through traffic if they get back there later in the day. Boy, look at that 25 car, Larry. He was gassing her up through the middle of the corner. Brian Vickers.
Good run in the middle of the corner, 1 and 2.
Bill Jr. wisely gives him a little room there because it's a little loose getting into turn 3. Fights back on the outside. Should have the advantage because you get that momentum off of turn 4.
And Darrell, we're seeing that at more and more racetracks where if you can keep that car on the high side on the exit of the corner, you carry that speed all the way down the straightaway. Talked to some guys this morning, and I think a lot has to do with the gear rule NASCAR has. You have to run a little bit higher gear than they would normally run, so you have to keep it wound up on the high side.
Yeah, you hear guys all the time talking about kind of interesting term, roll the corner, so that you don't slow the car down. With the brakes, you just let it roll through there and keep the momentum up. Momentum racetracks, momentum racing.
Look at J.J. Yaley way up in that high groove in that green 18. Runner-up last night in the Busch race at Kentucky. And he was there right from the drop of the restart green flag. Trying to climb from 12th where he restarted. Now fighting for 10th. Kurt Busch working underneath in the 2.
I think that car on the outside, he found that outside groove already, surprisingly. Dirt track racer J.J. Yaley got the high groove working. Might make the pass stick here.
Mark Martin coming with him in the 6.
You know, Mark really fell back at the start of this race. He qualified up there in the 8th position. He fell out of the top 10. Now he's working his way back as he battles Kurt Busch in the 2 car. This is a battle for 12th.
I think there's probably a big sigh of relief down in that 9 pit, Kasey Kahne's team. After the damage that car suffered in practice yesterday, to see it up there running as well as it is, I think that's probably a Ray's probably saying, we got it right, boys.
3rd place.
And you know, Darrell, we've talked a lot about Jeff Gordon in the 24 car. Of course, he's much further back in points than Dale Earnhardt Jr. But I think if Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 8 group, if they can have a good run at this type of racetrack, this has been the Achilles heel for them, I think they will solidify that we are a championship contender.
Guess what?
Raining again.
See some cars go ahead and hit pit road, and this is what we talked about. Dick Bergman, these are guys going ahead and making adjustments, getting that fuel.
Dick?
Mark Martin basically left this decision about whether to pit or not up to Pat Tyson, his crew chief, to that.
Looks like almost half the field chose to came in, including Kyle Busch, who was running up in the top half dozen, and Kevin Harvick.
And they're not coming in and putting on rain tires.
No.
That we don't run rain tires in the NASCAR. The cars are too heavy, the speeds are too high, the tracks are have too much banking. They just don't have a tire capable of holding these cars.
Although, might we see rain tires next week if necessary on the road course at Sonoma?
I think they kind of forgo that program. Decided it just wasn't worth fooling with. Now, me and Hammond might run rain tires next week.
Hammond will run anything.
Mud grips.
In one lap, we'll go back under green. Half the field pitted. David Stremme has come back in. The 4 back in of Scott Wimmer. Derek Cope has taken his Royal Administration Dodge to the garage. And Matt Kenseth has been in a couple of times with right front end damage on his Carhartt 17.
Now, once you get into that topping off thing, you got to come every time. Like if they give 1 to go, you got to come. and get topped off again. If they give one to go again, they're waving it off now. Next time they give one to go, got to come again.
You see all of that patch material on the right front corner of Kenseth's car. Steve, what's up?
Mike, here's what happened. Matt Kenseth came down on pit road. They took right side tires only. As he was exiting, he hit the 23 car of Bill Lester, who's pitted right in front of him. In fact, here's what Matt told Robbie Reiser, the crew chief, about the damage.
Oh, all right. Gotta watch that. Let's go ahead and fix the right side. Just take your time. Put 4 tires on, fix the fender.
Now, the frustration, Steve, in Matt Kenseth's voice right there comes from the fact he puts that on the shoulders of the spotter and the crew chief to be taking care of him in part of those situations. Steve, the best thing that could happen is just tell him to stop before that lick.
That's exactly right, Larry. Matt Kenseth is coming back down pit road. In fact, the end of that radio transmission, he told Robbie, he said, you've got to watch that car for me. He said, I can't see everything. He was telling Robbie Reiser, who's atop the pit box, watch the oncoming traffic for me.
Now, if you're Robbie Reiser, you're watching the car, your car, and you're saying, okay, go. The spotter upstairs is watching the traffic coming in. There's just that brief moment in time when you can't get to him to tell him to stop.
Thursday in Dearborn, Michigan, 450 Ford Motor Company employees gathered to honor their NASCAR teams. All of Jack Roush's Nextel Cup drivers were there, as was Elliott Sadler. As part of the festivities, Edsel Ford presented Jack Roush with the company's highest award, the Spirit of Ford Award. Here's where the Roushketeers are running early on in this race.
Not too shabby right there, guys. This early.
But that's actually the points as of right now.
Set to go back to green.
Boy, Jeff Gordon spun the rear tires on that restart, Darrell, as he accelerated.
Yeah, with the little moisture we've had and as damp as it is, probably just the tires had no heat in them.
We see that a lot at this type of racetrack on restarts.
See that a lot when you got about 850 horsepower in second gear.
At 7th place, oh, look at this, 3 wide. Sterling Marlin outside, Kurt Busch on the bottom, DJ in the middle.
And when you're that guy, Sterling Marlin on the outside, you're saying, please don't push up because I'm coming through.
This is a battle for 5th right here. Greg Biff from the 16 car. Not surprised to see this going on. Remember, fastest in both practice sessions yesterday. You go back to the sister racetrack at Fontana, California. Pretty much had those boys wore out until the engine let go.
I'll tell you what, he has done an incredible job, Larry, to get himself back in this championship chase. 5 races ago, he was 232 points out of 10th. And in 5 races, he's made almost all those up.
2 cars coming hard right behind them. Jeff Burton passed Bobby Labonte a lap ago. And now Labonte gives way to Burton and to the 18 car that Bobby used to drive, J.J. Yaley, behind Burton.
You know, watching J.J. Yaley in the 18 car, even in his interview from Kentucky last night in the Busch Series race, he said he just wished his Cup car was just a little bit like his Busch car. I think this could be one of the cars that's being a beneficiary of this cooler weather. More grip fixes some problems.
Kasey Kahne looking back after the lead, but those two have company. Dale Jr.'s in the picture.
Well, you just think about it, Larry. At 92 degrees, can you walk across your driveway barefooted?
Ouch,
no.
Quickly.
70 degrees? Not too bad. I'll run and get the paper, dear.
Budweiser car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. You see him right there all over the back bumper of Kasey Kahne in this 9 car.
That baby's lurking right there is what he's doing.
And to update you, Matt Kenseth made multiple pit stops. They checked the toe in, found that was fine. They changed right side tires, did a little more patchwork, but he's back underway. As again, Kahne looks for the lead in the backstretch.
Yeah, Kasey moved up to the high side that time off turn 2. Got a pretty good run off turn 2. It carries all the way down this backstretch. Looks like Jeff really drives his car off in the corner a little deeper than Kasey Kahne. Look at how high they've already moved up the racetrack here just 20 laps into this race.
Scott Riggs trying to hold off Carl Edwards. 12th place. Martin Martin Truex there as well.
Good run for Martin Truex Jr. Had a good qualifying run, qualified there in 11th. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s teammate, not surprised to see him running good. Another team that needs a good run.
Tell you what, Kahne gets off of turn 2 so much better than Jeff does. Now, Jeff's a little bit better in 3 and 4, seems like. See Jeff fight back on the outside. Maybe he'll give him room, maybe he won't. No, he won't.
Look at the run Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car got on the high side, pulls right up to the rear bumper of the 24 car Gordon.
Well, that's one thing about this.
Turn 3, one car spins, hits the fence, hits Tony Stewart. Clint Boyer gets a piece of him, and Stewart was caught up in a gaggle of cars and making no forward progress. They were racing 3 wide all around him, and it's Tony that ends up in the fence.
And Tony, he was one of those cars that pitted on that last caution.
I wonder if he had a problem over there, because he was kind of falling back. I don't see any right side tires down.
Battling Jeff Green.
Jeff Green just gets into him. That going into turn 3 here is a difficult place to go in there side by side, and here comes Blaney or Boyer, and he gets a piece of him.
And as he was sliding down the racetrack, a lot of other cars coming at him.
Stewart has brought that car back to the garage for repair.
You just see right here, Tony's going down in the corner. The 66 of Green's under him, and they just clip. They just touch. That's all it takes at 200 miles an hour. You just get real loose under somebody going into turn 3. When you got a car on the outside, it'll suck you right into it. Man, it's holy cow.
And that was not a light hit. Now, Stewart has been on the recovery trail from that shoulder injury a couple of weeks ago. We'll try to update that story for you. First, here's Steve.
And Dale Earnhardt in his pit stall, Mike, he said his car is a little bit free, but he likes that. He said the only place he needs help is from the center off of turn 2. Matt.
And leader Jeff Gordon in the top left of your screen. Air pressure adjustment for Gordon. The car just a little bit on the tight side. Meanwhile, Kasey Kahne, the very first pit stall on pit road. Air pressure adjustment as well. His car was good, but needed to be a little bit better. Mike?
Looks like Jeff Gordon may have, or Kasey Kahne, won the race off pit road.
Look at Ryan Newman in that 12 car right there, gained 18th position. That tells me probably Matt Boylan made the call. 2 right side tires only in fuel. Looks like about the top dozen cars stayed out, but that was cars that pitted at last caution. This is exactly what they were looking for.
Tell you one thing, they put a fast transmission in that 12 car, didn't they?
At 23 laps, how is Tony Stewart's car, and how is Tony's shoulder? We'll find out when we come back. Clint Boyer's made a couple of pit stops. Tony Stewart is in the garage. We'll update that story in a moment, but first, we're ready to restart at the end of 25 laps.
Kurt Busch in the 2 car running in second. He's coming on the pit road. He must feel like he's got a flat tire or something as we restart the race.
Hey, right side, guys, right side.
He should be able to get back out without losing a lap as we go green, and Kurt's younger brother Kyle leads Kevin Harvick, Casey Mears, and Jeremy Mayfield.
Some blue wheels.
Steve?
Mike, they changed right side tires. Kurt said he just couldn't trust the fact of whether or not it was a flat, so to be safe, they changed the right sides.
But you're right, Mike. It's going to be close, but he should be able to stay on the lead lap, so certainly Kurt would love to see a caution right now.
Meanwhile, Tony Stewart has been under the front fender, wielding a sledgehammer and trying to help repair the damage to that Home Depot Chevy.
On the left-hand side of your screen, you see the battle pretty much back there about in the area of 15th, 16th, 17th, like Dale Earnhardt Jr., Brian Vickers working their way back through the field. These were all cars that made a pit stop under that caution.
Right with Jeff Burton, Jimmy Johnson, and Jeff Gordon just ahead.
Jeff Gordon's car today gets in the corner better than anybody out there. He can fly down in the corner. Now, he looks a little tight off, and that's hurting him, but his car is good getting in. And this is a good test for Jeff Gordon. Right here, we're on our first pit stop. This is when these guys seem to be able to, haven't been able to get the car where it needs to be.
You know, as we watch Kyle Busch, the 5 car, our leader, the only Hendrick car that did not qualify in the top 5, he's getting those 5 bonus points for leading the lap. Remember, he's 10th in the points. Darrell, you pointed out in the pre-race, 80 bonus points for Biffle. Those bonus points can be so important to these guys.
Boy, Larry, and I tell you, that 24 car must be handling pretty good. He split the 9, and the car was on the outside and went right around them.
And hey, the sun is out.
Where'd that come from?
Watch this, Larry. Watch him come off turn 2 over here. 40 car there, Strimmy on the outside, 9 on the inside, and Jeff says, make me room, boys. I'm coming through. I got a good car today.
Shows confidence he has in his race car.
One past champion moving up, another in the garage. Tony Stewart working on his car. Dick Berggren's there.
And you can pretty well be assured that his shoulder is okay, because Tony was wielding a very large, heavy hammer just moments ago. He is under the left front wheel of the car, working with various tools. The most difficult thing, though, is in the back. We have a frame machine. The back end of this car, the rear clip, is bent, and they're going to try to straighten that out as well. Major damage on Tony Stewart's number 20 car.
They have got a lot of work to do. You cannot run the kind of speed you need to run here with that rear spoiler and deck lid in that configuration.
Stewart came in here 4th in the standings. Right now, he would drop at least 2 spots.
And let me tell you, it doesn't take many DNFs or finishes like he's going to have today to get you back there in jeopardy of not making that chase. Because you got so many good guys nibbling away at the top 10.
And we're halfway through the race to the chase to see who gets to run for the Nextel Cup, and there are no mulligans. Every race counts. Ooh, did Gordon get against the wall there?
All of a sudden, that car, it's doing exactly what it does every week. All of a sudden, just like he flipped the switch, it's taken off pushing, and he almost knocked the wall down off 2. He almost knocked it down off of 4.
Looking back from Kasey Kahne at Matt Kenseth in the 17 car, now he was one of the cars that stayed out on that last caution. Remember, it was not that many laps ago. He restarted back in 42nd.
Oh, we got a car
damage on pit road.
Somebody hit.
Turned around over there.
Yep, somebody hit.
Oh, hard lick there.
A couple of them, Larry.
Hold on to it, bud. Hold on to it.
J.J. Yaley got hit by, I don't know who it was, but somebody just turned him.
Darrell, it looked like Yaley had to lift coming out of turn 2 because suddenly there was a car right on him and into his back bumper. Kenny Schrader and the Motorcraft Ford of the Wood brothers.
Let's see if we can see what happened back here. There's Yaley up on the outside, and he gets woed up right here behind the 4 car of Wimmer, I believe, and the 26 comes up the hill.
Boy, Robbie Gordon in the 7 just gets by, but Kenny Schrader in the 21 does not. Joe Nemechek in the 01.
What happened here? The 4 car kind of gets in JJ's way. He has to lift, and here comes the 26 car of McMurray with nowhere to go but into him, and around he goes, and these guys, they're just along for the ride.
Let's ride with Kenny Schrader. This won't be any fun.
This ought to hurt. Listen to this.
Hold on to it, bud. Hold on to it.
Triple header.
You know, Scott Wimmer in the 4 car that checked up, he was one of those cars that stayed out on the last caution, had a little older tires, and just looked like he didn't have the grip some of these cars that had fresher tires had.
Looks like Joe may have come through that without just minor damage. He looks like his car's not too bad a shape. Joe Nemechek in the Army car.
Now here come all the cars that stayed out on the last caution. They're hitting pit road, Steve Burns.
Yeah, Todd Berrier's decision, Larry Mack, was it's so early in the race. Let's go ahead and work on that race car now. And Kevin agreed. He said, we're kind of in a tough spot here. They're a little bit loose, so they're going to make a wedge adjustment and change 4 tires, Matt Yoakum.
Kyle Busch had pitted up the first caution back on lap 11. Now, he had made up a number of spots, cycled up the lead, and the car tight. Chassis adjustment and air pressure, 12.3 seconds for Busch. Mike?
So we have different agendas on pit stop strategy very early in this race, and the hood is up on Matt Kenseth. Not sure if this is related to him running into Bill Lester on pit road or not.
I think what they did is on the last pit stop on the last caution, they checked the toe out, which is basically the location of the front tires that helps the drivability of that car, especially into the corner. They determined how much it was off. Now, under this caution, it looks like the guy leaning over in the hood, he's actually taking that tie rod and he's adjusting the toe out.
NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Racing on Fox, presented by AOL, is sponsored by Visa. Go on, live life, and remember that no matter what it takes, life takes Visa. Under caution, time for a Visa race break. Here's how things began after a rain delay.
Gentlemen, start
The Grand Marshal Adam Sandler got him going, and the pole sitter Kasey Kahne, who has click on his car, passed by Jeff Gordon, who also started on the front row just to start things. Had another caution for a little bit of rain. Third caution, lap 23. Jeff Green of the 66 car clips Tony Stewart. Tony came in fourth in points, into the garage and angry about it. Shoulder must be okay, repairing the 20 car. Moments ago, another caution. The rookie, one of 6 rookies in this race, J.J. Yaley, 23rd spot, spun by Jamie McMurray. Also, Joe Nemechek and Ken Schrader involved. We've had 3 different lead changes, 3 leaders. Kasey Kahne ahead of Jeff Gordon as we stand right now, under caution, some 33 laps in. This has been a Visa race break, and no matter what it takes, life takes Visa. And Jeff, the driver's aggressive, whether the slick track or thinking that maybe getting to the halfway point with the rain in the area.
I think a lot of drivers right now realize this race could just make it this past halfway, and they're trying to get up toward the front in a hurry. We see a lot of guys with damage to the front noses. 17 car there. His was done on pit road with the 26 car. We saw him making repairs, and that right there was the fact that he got hit in the got in the back of the 18 car.
Extra visit to pit road by Kyle Busch, who's led 9 laps, but Mike, 21 laps, and Jeff Gordon has led the most laps so far in this race.
A couple of extended pit stops. Joe Nemechek was back in as well, as you saw Jeff Green and Matt Kenseth. Now Jeff Gordon, I guess not too happy with his Hendrick Motorsports teammate right behind him, the Lowe's Chevy of Jimmy Johnson. They were doing a lot of side-by-side racing after that last restart, maybe more than you would expect from teammates.
Jimmy, if you want to race like this all day long, I'll take it all day long, buddy. I thought we were teammates. Let's race to get to the front. Now let's get 3 wider a chance we get.
Matt? Get back there in a minute. There's Chad Knaus, Jimmy's crew chief. I saw on that last restart, Darrell, they were 3 wide all down the front straightaway, not 1 lap, but at least 2 in a row.
But you know what? I agree, but I don't understand. You know, everybody's out there racing, and Jimmy Johnson's car is faster than Jeff Gordon's. So Jeff, if you don't want to race side by side, 3 wide, why don't you slow down?
They're teammates, but don't you have to race them just like every other car?
Sure, and what happened here, he ought to be mad at the 96 Tony Raines, because Tony held him up and allowed Jimmy to get underneath of him and make the pass. He and Kasey Kahne both. So Jeff's the one that I understand. Jeff's frustrated a little bit maybe, but if you don't want to race like that, dude, get behind me.
I have a real problem with drivers that get upset because someone's racing.
That's the whole point. You're here to race.
If you're up there running 1 and 2 and you're driving away from the field, different story. They're in the middle of the pack racing other cars.
Yeah, they're not out there by themselves. This ain't no picnic. We're not on a Sunday drive. We're racing.
Maybe the point trying to be made is if we were single file, we'd be faster than if we're trying to beat each other's fenders in.
If it was only the 2 of them, I could see his point.
Kasey Kahne leading Jeff Gordon as we go back to green and complete 35 laps.
Now the top 15 cars, all the way from Kasey Kahne back to Kevin LePage in the 49, they stayed out on this caution.
I tell you who's worried right now. It ought to be J.D. Gibbs. He's only got 1 bullet left.
And that's Denny Hamlin in the 11
back
car.
there in 8th place, just out of our frame. Here's Jeff going for the lead. And he does have a fast car. And I'm thinking he's probably more excited than he is upset. Man, I want to run good today, and I am.
If my driver's going to be frustrated about something, that's what I want it to be.
Oh, right. And you know what? The other thing is, in giving Jeff Gordon all the credit in the world, he's excited and he wants to run good.
Tell you what, there on the left, you see another Chevrolet coming into the picture. Jeff Burton in that 31 car up there battling Kasey Kahne and Jimmy Johnson. That's a battle for the 4th position.
Hey, Larry, guess where the last time it was they run that 31 car? Bristol, Tennessee.
It has a new body.
It has a new body on it, but it's the Bristol car.
Junior gets passed on the inside, gets past Burton, that is. Vickers right there with them. You know, we talked at the top of the show about long green runs. That's the one thing we've not had yet today.
And you know, I know it's early, 36 laps into this race. We've been talking all weekend, the stranglehold that Dodge and Ford has had on this racetrack. Right now, 6 of the top 7 are all the bow ties, the Chevrolets. Kasey Kahne, the only Dodge in the top 7 right now.
The last Chevrolet to win here is that one right there.
Van Lee, 2001.
I tell you, that 9 car, now he's got some smoke on the hood. That thing goes down the straightaway about as good as anything I've ever seen.
You mentioned Joe Gibbs with 2 cars in the garage. Let's find out about J.J. Yaley's. Here's Steve.
Mike, J.J. Yaley's still in his race car, but there is heavy damage to the front end. They've got the portable power tools out, the Sawzall. They're trying to ripping the nose off as we speak, and there's substantial damage to the radiator. They're going to have to replace that. And J.D. Gibbs standing by looking on as the team brings in a backup radiator.
Thanks, Steve. The remaining car on track is Denny Hamlin, last week's winner, in 7th.
This interstate's got a lot of lanes on it, doesn't it? These cats.
Oh, yes.
Look at them. They're high, they're low, they're in the middle. That's why the drivers love this racetrack. You got options. You're not stuck behind somebody.
I know we're seeing a little single file racing right here, but just a little ways behind this group. This is not single file. Remember, this is a lot of the cars that pitted on the last caution, like Kyle Busch in the 5 car, Elliott Sadler in the 38. This is pretty much a battle basically from about 21st on back.
Look at this thing go, Larry. Look at him.
Turn 2, you mentioned it earlier. That's where he's got him.
He comes off of turn 2 like he hits an afterburner.
But then Jeff Gordon seems to be able to really drive it into turn 3, and the thing sticks because he runs it up the racetrack. Then he wins the battle off turn 4.
Behind them, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been up there in the Richard Petty groove, running just inches from the wall all the way around the corner.
And, of course, with some momentum, we talk about momentum. Kasey has the momentum off of turn 2. Jeff has the momentum off of turn 4. And 2 totally different turns. 2 is tight. Right there where the 9 is right now, that's a tight corner. Come off of turn 4, it's a sweeper. You can let the car run out. Turn 2 would be more complementary to a fairly loose car. Turn 4 would be a little more complementary to a tight car.
Jeff Gordon, your leader at 41 laps from Kasey Kahne, Jimmy Johnson, and Dale Jr.
You can't fear anyone or any track.
Side by side for the lead at the start-finish line, Kasey Kahne and Jeff Gordon lined up just like they started on the front row, and Gordon owns the corner for now.
Gordon can just drive down in there so hard. Kasey's looking around for another line to run. He's been able to close, but he can't make the pass. 9's got a problem, Matt. What is it?
You see him moving around, DW. He's searching a little more for fresher air because the water temperature has climbed well over 250 degrees. You can see him working on the wheel. His team prepared for Kasey to have to hit pit road and pull some tape off the grill. But he is coming down pit road. He's peeled off.
The problem is he has debris on the grill. You can see it right there. He has a piece of plastic. This place is notorious for that with the wind blowing around.
And it takes so very, they run the openings in minimum amount.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. moves past Jimmy Johnson to take over second behind Jeff Gordon. Here comes the pole sitter to his pit, Matt.
And they're also going to make a chassis adjustment now since they are on pit road, losing this track position. You can see the crew member make the adjustment. Clouds coming back over. You can feel the temperature dropping again as teams racing to the halfway point, and everything else is bonus. But the water temperature had climbed over 250 degrees for the pole sitter. 16.8 seconds for the Dodge boys.
And the problem with Kasey Kahne having to make this unscheduled stop, we've got cars out there that can go about 30 more laps on fuel. So obviously what Kasey Kahne, the 9 group, Kenny Francis needs, they need this thing to go green for a while, and hopefully they can recover from this.
Next week, something completely different. We're at Infineon Raceway, Sonoma, California, on the road race course. But for now, the 2-mile super speedway at Michigan. Jeff Gordon, who started outside pole, having it his own way. A 2.5 seconds up on Dale Jr. Here's the race for 7th place. Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin.
Cousin Carl, he's been working his way to the front ever since the drop of the green flag. 3 starts here, all top 10 finishes. In fact, he's made his very first career start here in August of 2004. Always runs well here. Just didn't get that good qualifying lap in. His car was real loose.
Yeah, he failed the launch last night, Larry. They dropped the green flag and something happened to the gearbox and he didn't go anywhere. So he had a rough night last night. He's working much better today.
Now I want to add to what I said about Kasey Kahne in the 9 car needing this thing to go a long green run. There's a fine line there. Right now, he's the only car a lap down. If he gets the caution, he gets the free pass. But if we have a long green run and our leaders start lapping other cars, he could indeed not be the first car lap down if we get a caution. So maybe they would be better to go ahead and get a caution now.
Well, the leader is coming off turn 2 now, and the next car is anywhere near getting lapped is coming off turn 4. Almost a half lap. So he's going to be in the catbird seat for a while.
Right now, we still have 37 cars on the lead lap. The only car that's officially retired, Derek Cope in the 74 car. J.J. Ellie, Kenny Schrader, Tony Stewart's car is in the garage trying to get repaired and back out on the racetrack.
Plus, the other thing, Larry, that 9 car now has 4 fresh tires. He may, more likely, will chase down Jeff Gordon and get by him under green.
His lap times, Darrell, about 0.7 of a second quicker than Jeff Gordon on worn tires right now. Clint Boyer spent some time in the garage, but he's back on track in his 0.7, though 26 laps down.
Under our 5th caution, Jeff Hammond getting ready for pit stops. What can we expect?
Chris, I mean, a lot of these guys right now have about 20 laps in their tires, so I look for them to come down and get 4 tires. I think we're still looking at the big race, trying to get to the halfway point. So we look for maybe a little bit of strategy by some cars, maybe even to take the chance and put on 2 tires.
And the caution is out because of rain. Let's check in with Dick Berggren on the pit stops.
Jeff Burton was running in the 5th position. A whole variety of things that they're going to try to fix here. The car is a bit free going into the corners. Then sometimes it pushes off. They're going to adjust the chassis and air pressure. Steve.
Dick Dale Earnhardt Jr. likes that number 8 car right now. He's in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. He said it's good in and off, just a little bit snug in the center, Matt.
Gordon and his teammate Jimmy Johnson 1st and 3rd. Now Gordon needed help both on entry and exit. Track bar to help the entrance, which was too tight. Air pressure to help the exit, which was too loose. Also an air pressure adjustment for Jimmy Johnson. He was loose all the way through the corner. Chris Myers.
All right, time for a quick Visa race break. You know, we had a 45-minute delay before they got things rolling here in Michigan. Adam Sandler, the Grand Marshal and the official starter. On the pole, Kasey Kahne, who led 6 laps. He was passed early by Jeff Gordon, who has led the most laps in this race. But let's look at Matt Kenseth, who came into this race closing 2nd in points. Multiple pit stops. He had a brush with Bill Lester, who had damage to his car. Kenseth fell 20 spots, but is trying to work his way back up. 2-time NASCAR champ Tony Stewart, flipped here by Jeff Green in the 66 car, putting him behind the wall. And Tony steamed. That broken shoulder blade okay compared to Stewart's car, trying to get back in the race. Moments ago, Kasey Kahne was running 2nd, lap 47. Problems on the grill, had to pit, but just got the lucky pass, Jeff Hammond. And this has been a Visa race break. No matter what it takes, life takes Visa. Jeff Gordon, currently your leader. We'll be back at Michigan International Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Getting ready for green after pit stops, Jeff Gordon out front. Now, during the caution, both Elliott Sadler and Kyle Petty stayed out trying to lead a lap. On the last green lap, Sadler was ahead of Petty, but when the caution came out, NASCAR has judged that Petty will lead that lap under caution, not Sadler, because when the caution came out, Sadler did not maintain speed, wasn't entitled to retain the spot. Net result, Kyle gets 5 bonus points. Elliott does not.
And why 5 bonus points is important to both those guys, 2 completely different agendas. The 45's trying to stay in the top 35. The 38's trying to get towards the top 10. 2 different agendas for leading that lap.
Turn 2, Dale Jr. hunting the lead on Jeff Gordon.
Junebug's on it, baby. He said he liked that old car yesterday. Don't do anything to it. But now watch Gordon. He gets in the corner so well. Golly, that car will get down into the corner.
Especially turn 3 and 4.
But June's got a little horsepower today. He's going to drive right under him.
And you don't think these fans are on their feet? Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 2 drivers missed the chase last year side by side. There's no one sitting down here.
2 of the most popular athletes in the country. In all sports.
Junior was just on some major list of the top 5 athletes in the United States.
Harris Cole, and so was Jeff Gordon.
Junior gives Gordon a wave, and it may be a wave by Bond. Steve?
And Mike, if we get 1 lap past halfway, this race is official. Listen to what Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s crew chief, Tony Eury Jr., told Dale Jr. under caution.
Just so you know, Dale Jr., the big storm is about an hour and a half out. We run an hour and a half, so you can 55 laps right here because the main half first part of the race. So you got to hit them on what that is. When that weather gets here, it'll probably be down for quite a while.
What's the laps on this race?
200, so we got to get to lap 100 to make it a race. But just kind of giving you a heads up for what's around the corner, what might happen. I'll let you know later on. The weather changes drastically or anything.
Alrighty.
And what's ironic is halfway is lap 100. That pit stop these guys just made was lap 55. They can go right to lap 100 should we not get a caution, but they have to pit on the green.
After restarts here, this track is so wide, things get really exciting for a few laps. Watch this, turn 2.
I tell you, that 9 car, Larry, he is on a mission to get back to the front. That's him up on the high side. Watch this. He doesn't, I mean, he's in no man's land. If somebody pushes up a little bit, he's in trouble. 4 wide, and he gasses right by them, and they all say, where'd he come from?
Meanwhile, back up front, Jeff Gordon wants the lead once again.
And I get the feeling, as good as his car is, if he wants it, he'll probably take it eventually.
Yeah, that could have been, you know, looking at that pass and the other one, that's almost like a trade-off. I'll lead a lap. Let me lead a lap, and I'll let you back in front of me.
7th, 8th, and 9th here. Hamlin upside of Kevin Harvick in the 29.
But then on the other hand, maybe not.
You know what? These guys are having fun. They have not had a chance to do this a lot in the last year and a half.
That's right. Jeff just sailing off in there on the high side.
Well, a corner has 3 parts, and that 24 car's got 2 of them down pretty pat right now.
But I'm going to tell you what, while these guys are going at it, remember what Jeff Gordon was so mad at his teammate about a little while ago. While this is going on, his teammate Jimmy Johnson, as well as Carl Edwards in the 99, are getting closer and closer. There they are right there.
Oh, yeah. The worst thing you can do is run side by side for a prolonged period of time, because it definitely slows you down by about a second. Guys behind you get a little draft, and they come right up to you.
Jeff Gordon got the message, and he drops in front of Dale Jr. They're going to try to create a little distance. A further note on the Elliott Sadler situation. He had faked toward pit road under caution and gone to pit road and then swerved back out. And for that reason, NASCAR judged that he did not maintain pace car speed and position, and that's why Kyle Petty was the leader of that lap under caution and not Elliott Sadler.
And I think more so than a fake, Mike, it was all of a sudden realizing, hey, if we stay out, we might can lead 5 points. Lead a lap and get 5 points.
Third place changes hands as Carl Edwards marches toward the front in that Roush Ford.
Yeah, I'd say that Chevy Brigade has got a Ford in the future.
Little spoiler.
Dale Jr. has dropped into second, and he's losing a bit of ground to Jeff Gordon, Steve.
He is, Mike. He just told crew chief Tony Eury Jr., I'm rolling over on the right front, and I don't like it.
Now, what he means is, and that just got that feeling that you know you're using up that right front tire, and you don't want to do that at 200 miles an hour.
Carl Edwards, the 99 car, gets a runoff turn 2. He's going to complete the pass at the end of the backstretch. And now Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car will pull right up on the rear bumper of Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 that we're riding with.
And that's how quickly it happens, Mike, Larry. In one turn, your car all of a sudden gets a feel in it that you do not like, and you know what it is. And there's only one cure, and that's to slow down a little bit until we can do something about it.
So Junior fades from the lead to 4th place. Next car behind him is Biffle and then Jeff Burton.
Oh, got a car around off of turn 2, guys. Turn 2.
Is that Kenseth? It is.
Just got sucked around over there. Don't think anybody got into it.
Caution is out.
4 tires, brother.
Hey, just routine. Spun out 4 tires.
4 tires, guys. I see it. 4 tires.
On the inside of is that Scott Riggs, who will wiggle there going around the outside. Here's Matt in the middle.
I think he just gets in there where it just sucks the back of the car around. Tony Raines in the 96.
Why, Darrell? What does that?
It's side draft. The draft, the air off the car that you're trying to pass is coming over and getting a hold of your car and trying to pull it into that outside car, and it just takes the air off your spoiler and pulls you around as it does it.
And I know, as apprehensive as we are about the car tomorrow, Darrell had a long talk with Brett Bodine this morning, who drives the pace car, who did a lot of the development work of the car tomorrow. He said that's one thing that car really has a lot of, is the side force that you don't lose because of that wing when you get beside a car like that.
Today.
There will be a free pass. It is Clint Boyer. He will go from being 30 laps down to only 29 as the free pass is awarded to the first lapped car in the running order. That is Boyer.
But you got to admit that if you're 30 laps down, at least something good happens.
Yeah, 29 looks good.
I'm only 29 down now.
You're seeing Steve Letarte right there. I think what Steve is doing, the crew chief for Jeff Gordon, he was almost looking down at Jimmy Johnson's crew chief, Chad Canal, saying, what are you going to do? I think since it's been 12 laps since these guys were on pit road, you're going to see them coming as they are, but I think you'll see a lot of 2-tire stops here. Dick Berger, maybe even some fuel only.
Well, they were talking about a 2-tire stop for Jeff Burton, who 4 laps ago keyed the radio and simply told his crew 3 octaves up to Steve.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to get just right side tires. They want half a pound on the right rear.
Hand signals back and forth between the 24 and 48 pace. Letarte told Canals they were going to go with 4 tires. Chassis adjustment already for Gordon. They continue working on the balance of his car. Jimmy Johnson, his car was way too tight on exit. 48, close battle off pit road with his teammate, Mike Joy.
And I believe, Matt, 2 of the Ganassi cars may have gambled on 2 tires. Casey Mears and Reed Sorensen out there with that lead pack.
And you can see it right there. Reed Sorensen, the 41 car, Casey Mears, the 42. How quick their time is, that shows they did a little less than the other teams.
A lot of different strategies in play. Restart. Green flag to complete 70 laps. We are 30 from halfway, which would be an official race if the rain comes. And 130 to go to the finish line. Greg Biffle out in front. A lot of three-wide racing as Jimmy Johnson tries to come through. Bobby Labonte's been strong today. And Kasey Kahne, the pole sitter, on the comeback. Kevin Harvick at 12th place.
One car we need to make a note of had been in the top 10 most of this race. Kyle Busch in the 5 on that last pit stop. Too fast exiting, speeding, tailing the longest line. Restarted in 37th. He has now worked his way up 5 positions to 32nd.
New face up front, the Biff. Greg Biffle in that Jack Roush Ford, winner of, what, 2 of the last 3 races here. And look where he has moved in the points since the drop of the green flag, as Denny Hamlin backs up a spot and Kyle Busch falls back 2 positions based on his position at the moment. Now multiple pit stops for Matt Kenseth, who now sits a lap down. Steve?
Yeah, Mike, it's been a rough day for the former NEXTEL Cup champion. He was trying to avoid Tony Raines. It felt like Raines wasn't giving him enough room. He actually, the 17 of Matt Kenseth, ran into the 12 of Ryan Newman, making contact. That's what caused him to spin out. Matt?
Polling a number of different crew chiefs this morning, Steve. They all pointed to the 16 of Greg Biffle as the car that would be the rabbit today. The guy they expected to jump out front, and they were all going to have to chase, judging by the lap tracker system that all the teams use to gauge where their car is over a number of laps during final practice. Now they haven't had a lot of long runs, and that's where Biffle's car was so stout in final practice. They've been tweaking it with air pressure, hoping for what we were starting to have now. Looks like a long run.
Thanks, Matt.
You see his crew chief, Doug Richard, there. When he won here in August of 2004, that's about the time that Doug Richard came on board. That's when this group, I think, made their statement. You know what? We're going to go up there, and we're going to be championship contenders.
Yeah, he's had 2 wins in the last 3 races here. But it's pretty hard to bet against him. He obviously knows something about this place.
Right now, Biffle holds a lead of 0.6 of a second over Dale Jr., and that lead is growing.
NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Racing on Fox, presented by AOL, is sponsored by Ford. Bold moves. By McDonald's. By the auto parts experts at AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone. And by Sprint. Get closer to the NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series with Nextel from Sprint.
.76 complete this time by, and now Junior has moved up a groove. He is tracking Biffle and closing back at the lead, while this goes on back at 7th place. The 3 Hendrick cars that started 2, 3, 4 on the day, racing 7, 8, and 9.
Well, you remember that little lecture that the 48 car got earlier? Jimmy Johnson has been riding behind Jeff Gordon lap after lap after lap, trying to make up his mind. Well, should I try to pass him, or I don't want to make him mad again? Time has come. He's got to go now.
There's the boss, Rick Hendrick, looking on at 3 of his 4 cars. The other one, Kyle Busch, has to come up from the back. Steve?
And Mike, talking about the 25 of Brian Vickers, he's been fighting the handling early in this race, but on the last pit stop, they made an air pressure adjustment. They made a track bar adjustment. He said his car was loose, but since the restart, he said, great job. His car's the best it's been all day.
Junior is there. He went from 7 car lengths down 2 laps ago to right back up on Greg Biffle. Biffle turned the heat on, but didn't have a good entry into 3. Junior's got to run. Dale Jr. has the lead.
Both of these cars on that last caution, they were cars that elected to go with 2 right side tires, not that many laps on the tires to begin with, and get their cars out there in that clean air, and it's working right now.
And that is what the manufacturers came to see, a Chevy-Ford battle. And if you're a Chevy team with a lot of support, leading at Michigan is a big deal. If you're a Ford team, any of the teams, but leading here in front of all the execs.
They were a dead tie across the start-finish line that time. Greg Biffle, Dale Earnhardt Jr., difference, delta in their lap right then, 0.000. Dead heat.
Trouble for Tony Raines in the DLP HDTV car.
He's got a flat left rear tire, and you can see it's ripped the quarter panel off.
And that brings out a caution. It's the 7th one today. There's White.
And I think that was definitely a caution that Matt Kenseth in the 17 was looking for. The only car a lap down, he'll now get the free pass. He'll be back on the lead lap. That will put 38 cars on the lead lap, just 20 laps shy of halfway.
It's incredible how Kenseth's days can go. Some days it's just out there and you only know he's there and he ends up in the top 3 or 4. Today he's been in a lot of trouble.
Here's a team that's coming off its best finish of the season, 16th. Tough break.
When he gets in here, just do left. The right sides are up, right?
And the reason Felipe Lopez, the crew chief, is saying that right now, Tony Raines is still on the lead lap. So if they can get on the pit road, just get the left side tires changed where he can get back out there and get caught up, then they can come back and change right. But most importantly, fix that damage, especially you see on the left front.
Just get the left side.
And he should easily be able to do this because the field's just now in turn 3.
Hope they got a flat tire jack, Andy.
Get up, guys.
That's the way it's supposed to work right there.
Roger.
Pace car between turns 3 and 4. They'll have plenty of time.
Okay, go.
And Raines will stay on the lead lap and then come back in to get his right side tires. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the leader, second time he's led today for a total of 4 laps. And like the Pied Piper, he's going to bring everyone but Brian Vickers onto pit road. Dick?
Well, the 31 car, Jeff Burton, has a piece of trash on the grill. That was a concern of theirs. They're going to put 4 tires on it this time. Last time they pitted, they just took 2 tires. So a bit of a different strategy. Steve.
Dick Dale Earnhardt Jr. in. Last time they just took right side tires. This time, 4 tires for the Budweiser Chevy. Jr. said the car had gotten a little bit tight with just 2 tires. Matt.
19 laps on the left side tires for Biffle. You can see them making the chassis adjustment. He says he's almost wrecking down in turns 1 and 2. The 41 of Sorensen's away. Air pressure adjusted for the 99 of Edwards. His car had been tight, and the 48 beats everybody off pit road. Mike?
One of Dale Jarrett's crewmen with a slight limp after getting brushed back by Reed Sorensen, the target car leaving the pit right behind Jarrett. Brian Vickers stays on track and does not pit, nor does Mike Skinner. Everyone else on the lead lap has been to pit road.
Most memorable experiences is going fishing with my dad and my brother and camping. You know, I remember it like it was yesterday. Probably one of the things that I remember forever.
Happy Father's Day, everyone. There is Greg Biffle, 3rd place right now to the 2 Hendrick cars, Brian Vickers and Jimmy Johnson. Vickers did not pit. Steve?
Mike just checked in the pits. This is a bit of a gamble. They think there's another big rain system coming through, so they decided to stay out and try to get to halfway.
Yeah, he has 9 laps on his tires, and he's got a bunch of good race cars behind him. The one thing he will have going for him, at least when we get the restart, is clean air. We've seen what clean air can do, but that's a tall order with some good race cars likes behind him.
Boy, that car sure looks a lot better than it did last time we saw it on the racetrack.
Tony Stewart is back on track. He is 61 laps down.
I don't believe it's going to take long for these guys to kind of just smoke on by the number 25 car.
If anything, the sky to the south is looking lighter, not darker. So we'll see how this plays out. We're 16 laps to halfway, 116 to the finish, as Jeff Gordon gets alongside of Kasey Kahne, and Johnson wants the lead from his teammates.
See, the 25 is playing the weather card, but he's playing it with old tires. These guys are playing the weather card with new tires. They're going to get out there. They want to go, too, because they know the rain may be nearby.
If Brian had had a few friends that stayed out with him, could have been a different story, but all these guys behind him, like Johnson, Biffle, and now Carl Edwards in the 99, they have a lot fresher tires than Brian Vickers.
I think one of the things that's encouraging in creating some of these stay-out situations, though, is this is a much harder tire than we've had here in the past. It's a little more durable. It'll do better on the long run, and it'll last a little bit longer.
There you see Reed Sorensen in the 41 car, one of our rookies up there in the 7th position. But look at Kasey Kahne in the 9. Less than 40 laps ago, he was on pit road under green, a lap down. Here he is back in the top 10. Speaking of the Ganassi cars, right behind Jeff Gordon, you see Casey Mears in that 42 car up there in the top 10.
Casey Mears will move on. Next season, he'll drive the Hendrick number 25. The car that right now leads this race from Carl Edwards.
You've got to love this racetrack. To only have 18 degrees of banking right from the drop of the green flag. Look at the different grooves these guys are running off the corner and down the straightaway.
Biffle had to get out of the gas a little bit. He started to push. When he did, Junior went by on the outside, and Jeff Burton went by on the inside.
Well, that was a big 3-wide. That was a sandwich worthy of Subway right there. Burton still on the bottom and still coming. Sorensen and Gordon right behind him. And Kasey Kahne right behind them.
That's what I talked about, this track being a little aggravating. You got a fast car, but you get amongst these other cars, it's hard to pass, it's hard to get away from them. Sometimes you get held up forever.
Let's get a little update on some of this mid-race strategy. As during the caution, we listened in to Jimmy Johnson's team.
The rain is 15 miles away. You hold off until the rain comes, we win. 10-4.
To hold them off, he's going to have to get past Vickers and Carl Edwards, who wants the lead out of 4.
And Carl Edwards in the 99, he's been so much better through the middle of the corner than Brian Vickers in the 25, so he's going to take the lead here, just 12 laps shy of halfway. But we talked about it at the top of the show. Key to winning this race, chasing the weather, and that's what a lot of these guys are doing right now.
Two big factors as we watch Sorensen try to deal with the 29 of Harvick, the 9 of Kahne, and the 42 of his teammate Casey Mears. One is the rain, and the other is daylight. Central Michigan is on the western end of the eastern time zone. It is light here till about 9:45 at night. So even if the sky opens up, they won't be very quick to pull the plug.
Boy, the sky opened up right there for the 9 car. He got to run on the outside, and man, he squeezed between the wall and Casey. Reed Sorensen there and shot by them both. That 9 car, Larry, is coming back to the front with a vengeance.
And what a weekend they've had. Sat on the pole on Friday, hit the wall in practice yesterday, major repairs to this car. This is the same car he has won those other 3 races with this year. Overheating there about 40-45 laps ago. Now he's back into the top 10, trying to march back to the front. Kasey Kahne in the 9.
You know, thus far, his day isn't all that different from that of Denny Hamlin 1 week ago at Pocono. Hamlin led 49 of the first 50 laps, cut a tire, spun to the infield, and had a lot of ground to make up. Did, and won the race. Kahne's our leading Dodge Charger in the race. Mears and Sorensen close behind.
And what he's been working on, what they've been trying to help him with, is trying to get him to where he's a little better in 3 and 4. He seems to be excellent exiting turn 2. He loses a little ground to most of these guys down here, but they look like they've really helped him because he's looking to the outside of Jeff Burton. Is he going to be able to squeeze in there? Makes it.
Still out there.
And that was literally the outside. There was no more asphalt up there. It was wall.
Made a couple of passes like that, kind of raised the hair up on your neck. How about it, Dick? What they say about Burton?
No rear grip. No rear grip on car 31.
And obviously what that means is when he puts the throttle down, goes through the corner, the rear is wanting to slide around and be loose with him. And cousin Carl in this 99 car, Carl Edwards, he has checked out to a 1 1/4 second lead over Brian Vickers in the 25 car.
Carl's making up for last night, Larry. He had a bad night last night. First car out of the race. He want to do some racing.
Remember half a dozen or so.
Down there to get in, but pretty good by myself.
Remember half a dozen or so years ago when Jeff Burton was Rain Man? And every time it was like Mother Nature was his biggest fan. Every time it would rain, Burton would win.
Watching these two teammates, Brian Vickers in the 25, Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car. Right now, these guys are battling for the 3rd position, but I've been keeping an eye on their other teammate, Kyle Busch, in the 5 car. Remember, when we restarted back on lap 70, he had to restart at the tail end of the longest line because of speeding. He has now made his way all the way back up to the 17th position. He just went by Mark Martin in the 6th, so he's on his way back to the front. Just drives by Ryan Newman in the 12 as well.
And watching Kyle, he spent most of his day just like that, running right down against the yellow line at the bottom of the racetrack. Hasn't much ventured up and tried the upper grooves. 3rd place. Biffle makes the pass. Carl Edwards out in front as we're 6 laps from halfway in Michigan. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Point, lap 100, going 400 miles here in Michigan. NASCAR on Fox, and happy Father's Day to all the dads out there watching. And for Jeff Gordon, who is coming off the hardest wreck of his career, he passed the pole sitter Kasey Kahne. Gordon's led the most laps today at 50. Kasey Kahne running 2nd. Jeff had some problems, debris on the grill.
Yeah, he had to stop early because the car was overheating, but because of all that debris you see right underneath the nose on that Charger.
He was a lap down, but now has worked his way back up to 5th. And how about this? Lap 60, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car, taking the lead from Jeff Gordon, 2 of the most recognized names in sports. They traded 1st place for a while. Matt Kenseth, lap 67, spins out from 40th to 18th. Remember, he came in 2nd in points, has had an up-and-down day. Quite a few problems. But right now, the Roush Fords, Jeff, are leading the way. And Kasey Kahne, as we said, up to 5th, working his way back towards the front, passing Jimmy Johnson.
Looks like right now he's going to go to 4th, Chris, and he goes on the high side one more time. He likes the rim ride around this racetrack, and his car's working really well up high.
Worth mentioning that Tony Stewart, way back on lap 22, clipped by Jeff Green, still out of the race. He came in 4th in points. And we've had 7 cautions. The record for this racetrack is 9. Some of that probably caused by the rain delay, the slick track. As we get a look at the aggressive driving and the way the points look to the moment.
Well, to the moment, we still see Jimmy Johnson out front. Matt Kenseth still lost a little bit of ground to him, but he's still hanging there in 2nd place. But you'll notice Kasey Kahne is up to 3rd, and Tony Stewart is falling completely out of the top 5.
He has just come back on the track, I should say, repairing his car, and we are officially halfway in this race. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
That produces a sigh of relief all up and down pit road that we'll get this race in today. It's a long haul to California, out north of San Francisco to Sonoma next week. Greg Biffle, the fastest car on the racetrack. He is about 2/10 quicker than Carl Edwards. Matt?
Back on lap 95, Mike, Greg Biffle keyed his mic and told his spotter Joel Edmonds, he says, school is about to be in session. He's knocked off about 1 second the distance between himself and his teammate Carl Edwards. Now Edwards spotter Bobby Hudson is telling Carl exactly where Biffle is running and catching him on the racetrack, so Carl can try to adjust his line to Biffle.
That last lap, Biffle was about 1/10 of a second quicker. The previous lap, 2/10 faster.
I know we're watching Greg Biffle here in the 16 car running 2nd, but this right here, I've been watching this battle. This is a battle for 10th. Jeff Burton in the 31, Kurt Busch in the 2. Remember, Kurt Busch back on lap 25, as the field took the green for a restart, had a flat tire. He was all the way back in 40th position. Darrell, you and I have been watching this car. He just keeps getting better and better, and he's pretty good on long runs.
Yeah, he is. That's a whale of an improvement. They put that old magic spring rubber in the left rear, sound like, and that tightened him up. And the way to the races he went. And there's my buddy there in the old. He's feeling his Cheerios today. Go, Bobby. Bobby Labonte in the 43 car, the Petty car.
Yeah, he's been a top dozen car all day long.
Been quietly hanging around there in the top 12.
He's been good all weekend long, though. Good in practice. Remember, he started this race up in the 5th position. Here he is battling Kurt Busch in 2 for the 11th position.
There's a little racing going on here.
8th place. Harvick inside of the car that did not stop on the last caution, Brian Vickers.
Well, and the problem, Darrell, with Brian Vickers in the 25, he's only about 8 or 9 laps away from having to make a green flag stop because he did stay out.
Yeah, those older tires are going to prevail for a little while against the new ones, but once they go away, you're in big trouble.
The way I see it, Vickers should have to pit somewhere around lap 113 to 115. Everyone else that pitted on lap 81, they should be able to go somewhere between 126, 128, 129, right in there.
Kurt Busch continues moving toward the front. He just took 10th away from Jeff
Crossover
Burton.
move right there. Kurt slid up in front of Jeff, and Jeff cut back under him.
And let's go to Jeff Burton's pit, Dick.
Well, Jeff Burton's car was really good at the very beginning of this race, Mike. Not so good right now. He's told the crew that the car is very inconsistent. The biggest description he has had, the most clear description is it's free in, then it goes tight, then the back end won't bite, tries to slide around coming off the corner. So lots of problems with Jeff Burton's car. They're going to need to make a bunch of adjustments on the next pit stop to fix it. Steve.
Well, Dick, following the 2 car of Kurt Busch, you see the 43 battle between the 41 and the 31. Kurt Busch's concern right now is that he's running a little bit hot. He's asked the crew to clean the grill the next time they stop. Just a little bit hot on the 2 car.
And remember, that's what happened to Kasey Kahne in the 9 car. You heard Chris Myers just talking about it a while ago. Got paper on that grill. The wind's picking up. We're getting a report of that, and it really starts blowing a lot of debris around this racetrack, and the place it ends up is on the noses of these cars.
The funny thing, Larry, is that wasn't stuck to Kahne's grill, because as the car rolled to a halt, all those wrappers fell off. Of course, they won't fall off at 190 miles an hour.
No, not unless he can get that nose right up against the car in front of him, and then it'll take the air off the nose and it'll fall off.
Carl Edwards in the 99 car, he's up here still leading this thing, and Matt, he has almost a 2.5 lead over his teammate Greg Biffle in the 16.
See the raindrops, Carl.
Uh-oh. Still green. Matt?
And you heard his spotter and weatherman Bobby Hudson telling him, keeping him abreast of the weather, and we are starting to feel some raindrops. His car has settled in. He's trying to run the exact same line down in 1 and 2 as Biffle, because they felt like that's where he was losing most of his time to the 16 of Biffle. They were even down in 3 and 4.
And I'm sure as we're feeling those raindrops, the guy that's just beating his leg right now, Lance McGrew, crew chief for Brian Vickers, back there in the 9th position. Remember, he stayed out because of anticipating rain, but as we just mentioned, probably 5 to 7 laps till he'll have to make a green flag stop.
You just can't take a chance. NASCAR can't. Once enough drivers start to complain, we got to have a yellow, because with all the oil and as thick as the track can be with a little water on it, you're in big trouble.
What usually happens is the lead driver radios, it's raining, it's raining. The second place driver goes, no, it's fine, at least until I catch him.
Well, you take a poll, and you know, they're pretty smart over there. They know the ones that they can believe and the ones they don't need to listen to.
A piece of rubber debris blew up. Car ran over it and got it out of harm's way. Looked like just a piece of tape or tire.
But I think about everybody in the field just about hit this piece of debris.
Well, it's just a wad of rubber is what it is. You run over that stuff sometime and gets a big wad of it built up in the fender well of the car, and it'll fall out.
Caution is out now. Debris in turn 4 and in turn 1. And Kyle Petty, left rear tire down. That's part of that debris.
Come down pit road to gap 2. We'll do left sides only if you do.
And the sigh of relief is from Lance McGrew and Brian Vickers, about 5 laps away from having to make a green flag pit stop.
Trouble for Kyle Petty puts us under caution for the 8th time today.
NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Racing on Fox, presented by AOL, is sponsored by Allstate, official insurance sponsor of NASCAR.
Saw most of the leaders go with just 4 tires here, and I think the reason, if we shouldn't fight weather, this pit stop here will put them within 1 stop of making it to the end. I think that's the reason almost everyone, except for Reed Sorensen in the 41 car, you can see gained 11 position, won the battle off pit road, went with 2 tires on that car.
Let's update those pit stops, beginning with Matt.
Greg Biffle has won 2 of the last 3 races here at MIS, made an air pressure adjustment, fighting a grip issue, needing more grip, just like his teammate Carl Edwards, who's never finished out of the top 10 here, looking for another good run to Steve Burns.
Thank you, Matt. Dale Earnhardt Jr. saying he just wanted to rotate better, turn better through the center of the corner. So they made an air pressure adjustment. They put half a pound in the right front and took a round of bite out of the right rear. Dick?
Well, I'm working up near turn 4, and I got to tell you, it's nice here. We haven't felt any rain at all for a very long time. Car 31, Burton, came in. They made a wedge adjustment to that car, fired 4 at it, put fuel in it, made some air pressure adjustments in the 4 tires. Let's go up to Mike.
Thanks to Kevin LePage, stayed out on track to lead a lap. He becomes the 9th different leader on the day. So we'll go down to Jeff Hammond for a State Farm safety report.
We're always talking about how we protect the drivers. You know, fire suits, roll cages. Well, what about protecting the engine? Let's take a look here. Filters, oil filters that happen to circulate through the oil system to keep all the little debris out of the inside of the engine, or even an air filter, all the air that comes in through down into the carburetor, the dust and debris off the racetrack that can damage the inside of the cylinders or whatever. These air filters, just like you find on your passenger car, help protect these racing engines. Again, the inside of an oil filter, where all the debris, as it comes through the circulation of the oil, it can filter out the little microparticles that can damage the bearings and hurt the inside of the crankcase itself. All of these things are designed for one thing and one thing in mind, is the longevity of your engine. So if you've got a good filtration system, it'll not only protect your race engine, it'll help protect your car that you drive every day. Guys?
Thanks, Jeff. Now, Kevin LePage stayed out to lead a lap, and now makes his pit stop. Michael Waltrip stayed out with him, but Waltrip did not get to lead a lap. He pitted with LePage. And the cars many laps down with damage also on pit road. Clint Boyer, J.J. Yaley, and Tony Stewart out and back into the race. Here is today's Allstate Good Hands driver, Kasey Kahne. I'll show you why. Traffic jam here. They're 3 wide. They're going to be 4 wide no matter. Just almost bank it off the wall. Drive on around the outside and make a clean pass. On behalf of Kasey, Allstate will donate a $1,000 scholarship to the Urban Youth Racing School from Allstate, official insurance sponsor of NASCAR.
We've got 36 cars on the lead lap right now here at lap 114 with 86 to go. Kyle Petty, Darrell and I kind of questioned what he was doing, but he stayed out on the apron till he had enough time to get to pit road to get those tires changed, and Kyle actually stayed on the lead lap. Right now he's back in 35th.
Well, Larry, the car on the screen, the 41 car, if no tires was a good strategy to get to the rain, I think 2 tires might not be a bad strategy to try to get to the rain.
As long as you got a good handling race car, and his car has been up there in the top 10, close to the top 10 most of the race.
Sorensen was 11th when he pitted. He is now the leader. He had a tough night last night in the Busch race in Kentucky. Crashed twice, the second one putting him out of the race. But he leads now with 85 laps to go as we go back to green.
There's no question, as you look back over our grandstand here, it's getting darker and darker. And I know these crew chiefs are looking at it too, and they're saying, if you got them, use them.
You can see right there, over 160 miles per hour building speed through turn 1 and 2 going on to the back straightaway. Riding with Kevin Harvick here in the 29 car right now, battling Jeff Gordon and Kurt Busch. He's in the 9th position right now.
Outside corner.
He's been pretty solid all day long. But, you know, as we looked at Kurt Busch and the 2 cars, we've got a battle for the lead right now. 4 tires versus 2 tires. Kasey Kahne in the 9 on the outside of Reed Sorensen. Down the backstretch, I'm sure Kasey Kahne with his new red wheels, he will prevail.
Yeah, I like those red wheels.
And just as last week, Denny Hamlin had problems and had to fight his way back to the front, Kasey Kahne does the same today. Didn't take him near as long to get back to the front on this big, wide 2-mile speedway.
Just to update the fans that may have just joined us, remember Kasey Kahne, the 9 car, started on the pole, had a practice crash yesterday, major repairs to that car. On lap 47, had to make an unscheduled green flag stop for overheating, and here at lap 117, he has taken the lead back after all of that.
I tell you what, once he gets that bad boy out front, Kahne in the 9, Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle better step it up a notch, because he is going to be on the move.
Greg Biffle in the 16 car drives to the outside of Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8, trying to follow Reed Sorensen in the 41 car.
Dale Jr. is a smart racer, guys. I mean, he races just he doesn't want to overdo it. He races as hard as he needs to. But if you're better than he is, he'll get out of your way.
Seen him give that hand out the left side window a couple of times today down the back straightaway, and I think he's just basically telling that driver, you know, thanks for racing me smart here. I'm faster than you, and you told me where to go by you. Thank you.
Hand signals, people just don't realize how we just wave and give each other so many hand signals, and there's Biffle and Dale Jr. all the way down on the apron, which is perfectly legal here. There are no out of bounds. A lot of guys swoop down there late in the race trying to break the draft or the concentration of the guy behind them. Watch this. It's perfectly legal. You get a real strong run off the corner like Biffle did. Now you're going to drop down and get the draft off of Dale Jr.'s car, the 8. They go down on the apron. It's perfectly legal. There's no out of bounds. Shorter route. I mean, you run down the hill to get to the apron, and then you come back up in front of the car you're trying to pass.
2 weeks when we're in Daytona, Pepsi 400 will be illegal, but as you said, no out of bounds here.
Laps to go. Kasey Kahne out in front. Right now, Kahne is the fastest car on the speedway. Can he win from the pole again? Stay tuned.
NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Racing on Fox, presented by AOL, is sponsored by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We'll pick you up. By Mobile Clean 5000, the official lubricants of NASCAR. It's seriously tough oil. By DLP Picture Technology from Texas Instruments. And by Coca-Cola. Thanks for drinking.
.76 laps to go in the 3M Performance 400. We are slowed again by a rain shower on the speedway. Kasey Kahne leading Carl Edwards. They were about 0.4 of a second apart as they came across the line. Here is Matt Kenseth, who has fought his way back up to 13th place after having an unlucky lap 13. He was trying to exit his pit as Bill Lester was pulling into the pit just in front of him. A lot of front end repair on Kenseth's car ensued. But he's fought his way back. Then he got up against Tony Raines and spun and had to fight his way back yet again. He did get one free pass to get back on the lead lap, and now he's climbed into the top 15.
That wasn't that many laps ago that he spun out. That was back on lap 66. And here we've got Mark Martin and a few cars pitting here, but I think most of the cars stayed out. I'm sure right now there's a mad scramble looking at the different weather maps and weather channels.
Yeah, Mark was back in 20th spot, so it's not a big surprise that he would come to pit road.
Joe Nemechek's team at work. Mark done and out of there. So evidently these teams don't feel that this is going to be a sustained rain that will be able to get this race restarted.
Be some good stuff if we do, because that's pretty smart to come in right now and get those tires.
Of course, this pit stop here, should we go back to green flag racing, and I think we will, this still will not get you to the end. So I think that's a lot what the guys up front were thinking. We got a little bit of flirting with rain. We can't make it to the end if we pit here, so let's just stay out.
Trouble on the 19 here.
This has been going on about every caution. They've had the hood up on the winner from the August race here last year, Jeremy Mayfield, the 19. So they've been making repairs on this car almost every time the caution has been out.
Dick Berggren.
Well, the problem is principally handling on the number 19 car of Jeremy Mayfield. They even have adjusted the camber on the car in an earlier pit stop. I mean, you see the mechanics coming back with big wrenches. That's not a good sign of a car that's handling well. He is running the back of the pack all day.
This has to be so frustrating for Ray Evernham, I'm sure, as it has been all year long. Again, Jeremy Mayfield, you know, making the chase the last 2 years. He's sitting way back in the points. And right now, the 9 car, Kasey Kahne, with 3 wins up there leading this race.
There's a look at Kahne. Mayfield is still on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap. Only 2 cars out of the race, Kenny Schrader and Derek Cope. As we go down to Chris and Jeff for a Visa race break.
All right, thanks, Mike. A quick recap. We started 45 minutes late because of the rain. Kasey Kahne, the pole sitter. But on lap 22, Tony Stewart nudged by Jeff Rees going about 175 miles per hour. Tony fourth in points, had to go behind the wall and steamed, but got out to help repair his car. And 70 laps down, they did get the 20 car back on the track. The 2-time NASCAR champ. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jeff Gordon led 50 of the first 100 laps of this race, but Jr., who's led just 3, taking the lead here, leading 3 laps on Father's Day. We've had 10 leaders, 17 lead changes, including Kasey Kahne, who at one point was a lap down because of the debris on the grill, but has worked his way back up to lead this race. He is ahead of Carl Edwards with 74 laps to go, and this has been a Visa race break no matter what it takes. Remember, Jeff, that life takes a Visa, and this track takes another caution. We have our 9th caution flag that actually ties the record for Michigan. Of course, 3 of those have had to do with rain at different times in the race, so that's the question now. We've heard some of the crew chiefs talk about guessing when the rain is coming or more rain with storm clouds. What's the thinking at this stage of the race?
Right now, I think everybody's thinking track position, and unless you've got a real ill-handling race car, we saw a couple of cars come down pit road. They knew they needed to work on it to kind of move up through the ranks. The guys who are up front, you can believe one thing, they'll be staying up front and really watching this radar to make sure that they don't come down pit road inadvertently and give up a win.
Jimmy Johnson, who came in as the points leader, although that lead shrinking. Kenseth was making it a close race. Mike documented some of Matt Kenseth's problems earlier.
And the one thing I want you to notice right now, looking at Tony Uri Jr., they're talking, they're looking. I mean, all these crew chiefs right now are trying to get as much information. Where's the rain at? How far is it? How much rain are we going to have? Are we going to go back green? If we do, is there any more rain coming in behind that? That will help determine what you're going to do to your car and how hard your driver is going to run here. I mean, it's going to start putting a lot of pressure on a lot of these teams, but we are past halfway. If the rain hits here and stays, it'll be an official race.
And remember, as you get a look at Ray Evernham, and of course he has the lead car with Kasey Kahne, that there are no lights here. Of course, it stays light out till about 9:30 or 10 this time of year at this part of Michigan. But you have dark clouds rolling in.
Dark clouds rolling in, but we just heard a minute ago, we will be getting ready to go back to green, so the track must be clearing off. And again, that's what everybody's kind of watching. It looks like there's rain off in the distance, and let's see how kind of things play out now.
Some Irish eyes are smiling in the Irish Hills. Kasey Kahne leads Carl Edwards and Dale Earnhardt Jr. under caution. 73 laps to go here in Michigan.
Maybe they could look on there and see where the rain is.
No, it works kind of like on the weather rock theory, Darrell.
Yeah. Here's the fight right here. And this is position 10 through 15. And I think right here, this is where the real fight's going to be, right in here. I think that's where the fight's going to be all the way up to the checker flag at Richmond in 12 races.
And Denny Hamlin right this moment is only 20 points ahead of Biffle, and Harvick 40 points ahead of Biffle. So 8th through 15th is all pretty much in doubt as we look forward to Richmond.
And don't forget, we still got a long way to go till we get to Richmond. It's a long way down 95 to get to Richmond.
Reminds me of a song.
Yeah.
Now, as far as this red flag right here, you know, again, we've got 71 laps to go, but we are, you know, 29 laps past halfway. So, you know, right now, they anticipate getting this race restarted. But who really would have to be smiling right now would be Jimmy Elledge, Reed Sorensen, the 41's crew chief. He made the call a couple of cautions ago to go with just 2 right side tires, got the track position, and right now he's sitting in 5th. Now, one guy, even though it's not a lot of positions that he has lost, but Mark Martin in the 6th car, one of the cars that opted to come to pit road, he has lost about 7 positions. I know that doesn't sound like a lot. You know what? In 12 races, we'll just have to see how many points that makes a difference.
Yeah, well, he was having a decent run. Now he's 27th. Bobby Labonte, who we talked about a little bit there before that caution, he's back in 28th. So those guys elected to come into pits, and who knows? Might not have been such a good idea.
Well, that'll happen at a place that's as wide as this when you have such frequent cautions. 9 ties the record, and you still have 37 cars on the lead lap. So you make the wrong choice, you go a long way back.
There's a young man right there that he's not been in a position that we've said a whole lot about in the FedEx uniform, Denny Hamlin, our winner and Bud Pole winner for Pocono. But right now, I think this is the type of day he was looking for here at Michigan. They have struggled. Their car has been loose all weekend long. His 2 teammates have been in trouble, J.J. Yaley and Tony Stewart. But right now, Denny Hamlin sitting in 12th. Remember, he moved in the top 10 in points last week. Denny may be one of those guys that says, let it rain, boys.
Hey, he's letting a smile be his umbrella after that win at Pocono.
You see Casey Mears there messing around with his future teammate, dump a little water on him, which I don't think he'll notice.
That's right. We mentioned briefly earlier that Brian Vickers announced that he is leaving the number 25 team. He's going to go out on his own. We don't know what his plans are as of yet for 2007. And that seat did not grow cold when Rick Hendrick announced that Casey Mears would come on board and drive the 25 beginning in 2007.
But, you know, back to Casey Mears, right now he's sitting in the 7th position. If he can hold on to this top 10, he started the season off with 3 consecutive top 10 finishes, right up there actually in the top 5 in points. And he has not had a top 10 since then, so this would be a pretty good day for him.
Most of the cars pulled onto pit road to the red flag. One of them went straight to the garage to Steve Burns.
And Mike, Tony just got out of the race car. Tony, you guys are officially out. What happened on the racetrack, and how tough is this for you?
Well, I mean, it's not what we wanted by any means, but you know, just got clipped in the left rear. You know, it wasn't anything intentional by any means. Just you know, Jeff was a little eager probably. We weren't even really running that hard. I mean, we were just kind of taking our time, and you know, just every time we got too wide, it gave Jeff a run. But you know, Jeff pulled up beside me on the caution, kind of asked if everything was all right. I told him we're cool. So you know, Jeff's a great guy. Him and I've always got along good, and there's you know, it's just racing. You know, it's no big deal.
Tony, we saw you swinging the hammer. Is the shoulder blade okay?
Man, I was sitting there talking to the guys. Can you imagine what the bill for J.D. Gibbs is going to be when he gets the invoice from Greg Zippadelli and myself for fabrication work? I mean, our hourly rate's not cheap, so it's fine. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I feel really good. Don't feel good about the day, obviously, but you know, physically I feel great. So just look forward to Sonoma next week.
Glad you're all right. We'll see you next week. Dick?
Jeff Green was the other party involved in that incident with Tony Stewart, and I have briefed Jeff Green on what Tony Stewart has had to say in that interview. You were walking back with Greg Zippadelli, Stewart's crew chief. What did you say to him?
I apologized. I mean, I don't drive that away, and I just got in a little bit over my head. My car pushed, and Tony held his line, and I got up into him. I hated it. You know, I wouldn't do anybody that way, and Tony's a good friend of mine, and I know he's racing for that championship, and that top 10, and our Best Buy Chevy's really good at that point, and just probably a little eager, like he said, I guess. So just apologize to those guys, all those guys on that 20 car. They deserve better, and my guys do too, so I just made a mistake today.
Well, it's amazing how tempers cool down. I was listening to Tony Stewart just after that incident, and he was absolutely furious, but he's calmed down with a little bit of time, and all seems to be forgiven. Matt?
And Greg Biffle, winner of 2 of the last 3 races here at Michigan. Now, usually you just kill them down in 3 and 4, but today it's down in 1 and 2. What's wrong with 3 and 4?
Just a little bit tight down there, you know, and I was getting it there at the end. You know, I was overdriving the corner a little bit because this racetrack's so different at both ends, but I was really good in 1 and 2. Now, usually I'm pretty good down in 3 and 4, but I just needed a hot, sunny day. You know, my car shines in that kind of racetrack where it's slick. And after about 15 laps, the tires get slick and off my race car goes. So this is bad news for me, these cold temperatures and bunching the field up, caution after caution. But I tell you, the guys are doing a good job. We've adjusted on it some, and, you know, just wish it wouldn't rain.
I know next week you've got a big production going on with a charity thing that's very special to you.
Yeah, we're announcing a sponsor for our pet calendar next week in Sonoma. We're really excited about that. And, you know, we got a raffle going on, winbifflesbike.com. It's a chopper, custom-built chopper for raffle. We're going to give it away in Phoenix and raising money for all the pets and animals. So that's really exciting. I want to say hi to my dad. I know he's watching. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there watching today.
Big picture-wise, this is a great points day for you.
Yeah, it really is. I was asking where the 5 and 11 were there when it was raining like this, because it's going to take a while to drive this racetrack. Unfortunately, I think I have a car I can win with here, and it just breaks my heart that it's going to rain. If it had stayed green for, you know, 2 tire runs, green flag cycle, I think I could have had a pretty good lead.
Now, he started the day 27 markers out of the top 10 in the championship standings. If the race does not restart, he will leave here unofficially in the top 10, Mike.
Not worried about anything. His day is kind of like this, kind of like falling right where it needed to on that last pit stop, the most opportune time.
The guy with Click on his car, the movie Adam Sandler, who is the Grand Marshal, got things started today for us in Michigan.
Gentlemen, start your
Get Quick with the cars. Adam, your Grand Marshal. After a 45-minute delay to the start of the race because of rain, things a little slick for Robbie Gordon. Spins out to bring out the first caution. Problem in the pits all day for a number of drivers. Matt Kenseth, who came in second in points. Multiple pit stops. He had a little brush with Bill Lester, who was in this race. Lester's car suffering some damage. Kenseth later worked himself back up into the top 15, but more problems with him in a moment. Lap 22, Tony Stewart, who came in fourth in points. Incidental, causing accidental results, Jeff Green. Tony Steen behind the garage, sat out for 70 laps, helped out to get back in. Set a union violation, but officially out of the race just as the rain came and the red flag came out. Meanwhile, Gibbs Racing struggling with one of 6 rookies in the race. That's J.J. Yaley with a rough hit. 4 drivers involved in this mishap. And Kenseth trying to maintain his comeback, spinning out, falling further back. Kenseth would work his way back up to 13th when this race was called. Jeff Gordon led 50 of the first 100 laps. He started on the front row. But there was a brief moment in the retro car. Dale Earnhardt Jr. on Father's Day taking the lead, led 3 laps on this day, and as Jeff pointed out, hung in there, currently running third. But off pit road moments ago, taking 2 tires, Kasey Kahne in the Evernham Dodge edges his way back out, and ahead of Carl Edwards and Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins the rain-shortened race here in Michigan.
If you don't believe that sometimes the races are won or lost off pit road, you take a look at that replay, you get a pretty good idea. As good a job as Kasey did, his crew came through when it counted.
Let's check in for some thoughts from Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Kasey Kahne is only the 2nd driver to win at Michigan from the pole in the last 21 races here. Jeff Gordon won this race 5 years ago from the pole, and this becomes the 3rd rain-shortened race here. August of '69 and June of '74 are the only prior races to fall victim to rain.
Tell you one thing, I'd sleep with that race car. That's its 4th win. If I was Kasey Kahne, I wouldn't let that thing out of my sight.
But, Darrell, you've been talking about it all day long, even in the pre-race. I think the big smiles, besides from this 9 group, will come from the 8 group. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that group finished 3rd, led this race, and we watched him a while ago, Jeff Gordon in the 24 car. Now we're headed to a road course. Now we're headed to Daytona, and that 24 group pretty solid. But congratulations to Reed Sorensen, Jimmy Elledge in the 41 car. You see it right there, finished 5th. His first career top 5 NEXTEL Cup finish, and who would have believed strategy played a little part in it.
Well, his teammates not far behind right there in 7th, Casey Mears as well. So good day for Ganassi, and they needed that because they really struggled at times.
So Kasey Kahne will go to victory lane. His 4th win of 2006, leading the league, and his 5th career win in 87 starts. It's the 4th time he has won from the pole.
Car on Fox from Michigan. It's all over. Kasey Kahne winning the rain-shortened event here. And let's head down to, I guess, what is Victory Fountain in the garage area, and our Steve Burns. Steve?
Yeah, it's a makeshift winner's circle, Chris Myers. Kasey Kahne, what a great recovery by you and your race team, getting up into the wall and happy hour yesterday. What does it feel like to win here in Michigan?
It's pretty crazy, really, to win in the rain, you know, be in the right spot there at the end. But we did have the best car. You know, there was a lot of good cars, but we fought our way back to the front. The guys rebuilt my car from yesterday, and just pretty cool to get our Dodge Steelers, your AW Dodge Charger, back in victory lane.
Kasey, you said you had the best car. Pretty confident if we had gone 200 laps, you would have been there at the end?
Well, I know we would have challenged for it. You know, I know Carl, Greg, the Hendrick cars were good. There's a few of them that were really good, and we were one of them at that point in time. So we would have challenged for it, but either way, we won, and happy Father's Day. My dad's here. First time he's been here for a NEXTEL Cup win for me, and all the fathers out there. Just a great weekend, and just proud, man. I'm excited. I can't believe we won in the rain.
Congratulations on your 4th win of 2006. We go to Dick Berggren.
With Junior, 3rd place. Have you ever had a stranger 3rd place finish than today?
Yeah, I'm sure I have. This ain't really all that strange. We had a great car, and on that run right there, we weren't good enough to win, but we had a car earlier in the race that was good enough to win. I asked them to tighten it up, and they tightened it up a little bit too much. So, but it is late, and we got a lot of things to get home, get to doing. But so we'll take a 3rd place. Real happy. I've never really had a good car here, that good, anyways. So we're really excited about coming back here in a month or so.
Well, we're excited about seeing you at Sonoma next weekend. Thank you. Congratulations, Matt.
A great big picture day for Carl Edwards, but it's always a gamble when you're battling the rain.
Yeah, big pictures. I always tell people I want a big picture of victory lane. You know, that's what I'd like. But first of all, happy Father's Day to my dad and all the other fathers out there. Had a great race, man. Our office depot Ford was really good, and my pit crew. I mean, coming back from the debacle there at Pocono to have great pit stops. And I guess Kasey beat us out by about a foot, and congratulations to him. They did a great job.
I know you and a number of other people were commenting about how close that battle was off pit road.
Yeah, I know. Well, when I started to realize how pivotal that was going to be, and as far as the outcome of the race, I said I'd really like to see that tape, and they showed it, and he definitely beat us. And you know, it's a good point, Dave. But man, I want to get that first win for Wally and all the guys, and heck, but it was still a blast. I had a good time.
Carl Edwards, 2nd here at Michigan, and he's never finished out of the top 10 at MIS.
These are the unofficial race results, though. Kasey Kahne, your winner. Jeff Gordon winding up 8th. For Reed Sorensen, best career finish. Greg Biffle up there, 6th straight top 10.
Well, you take a look right there also. Casey Mears right there, a strong run by him. And even Jeff Gordon, like I say, he was on his way back up through the field, but he had a little bit of a problem. Another strong run by Jeff Burton. And there you look and see Denny Hamlin, who won last week, up in 12th.
Brian Vickers ending up 17th. Dale Jarrett 20th. Couple of drivers who will be changing positions for next year, at least driving teams. Jamie McMurray back a little bit. Bobby Labonte had a good run.
Yeah, Bobby had things going his way, but right there toward the end, he, like Mark Martin, I think, came down pit road, gave up some track position, and then the rains kind of got them in trouble.
Bill Lester winding up 32nd, an improvement over where he finished in Atlanta when he wound up 38th. J.J. Yaley, part of the mishap of Gibbs Racing, or the unfortunate day. And as we round it out, Tony Stewart, 3rd finish of 40th or worse this season, having problems since lap 22. The rain continues to fall, but Kasey Kahne will leave here a winner in Michigan. Don't leave us. We have a lot more to cover. Nice to have you with us for NASCAR on Fox. Good, even though he started out on the pole, this rain-shortened race final at 258 miles. Kasey in victory lane. Carl Edwards winding up 2nd. Dale Earnhardt Jr., his first Michigan top 5 finish. We thank you for being a part of things next weekend. Join us from the wine country for our entire gang, including producer Barry Landis, director Artie Kempner, coordinating producer Richie Zions. I'm Chris Myers. Thanks for being a part.
Under caution for the 3rd time in the Pennzoil 400 with 53 laps to go in the race. And Ricky Rudd taking the lead away.